My background in technology is digital transformation, and I watched how the digital transformation of music or maps or documents or relationships or communications created Amazon and Apple and Google and Facebook and trillion-dollar entities. And it was pretty clear to me that if you can digitally transform something, it wouldn't be just as good as the thing that you had. It would be 100 times better, maybe 1,000 times better. And that's pretty obvious today that, who remembers Kodak? What's Kodak's market cap? What is Xerox's market cap?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Companies like the document companies, the photo companies, Instagram, Facebook, all of these companies have just outstripped their 20th century analogs.
Yeah.
So people figured that out in 2020, but the paradigm shift is when you're in the business, you can't contemplate the digital transformation obsoleting you, or it's such a horrifying thought that you don't want to embrace it. That's the paradigm shift. Can you go from digitizing the McNally Atlas to self-driving cars? Because the implication was the map is going to plug into your car and drive you where you want to go. And maybe even the map is going to tell you, don't go there, it's closed, and people hate it. Right. And that's what makes Google a $1 trillion company. And that's why McNally, is not with us, right? I mean, it's so if you understand that, then I guess March 2020, the first thing that happened was getting slugged in the head with a 2x4. You're failing, your money's going to zero. And the second observation was, oh my, there's actually been a digital transformation of property, currency, and energy. And I didn't quite appreciate just how profound it was. I just knew I needed a solution. So I started looking for a digital gold, right? I wanted a non-sovereign store of value asset. So it really it literally was a question of, do I buy $500 million worth of gold? Or in this case, it was $250 million of gold. Or do I buy $250 million of crypto gold? Mm-hmm. And if it's crypto gold, well, I think engineered synthetic gold is better than gold. And now I just had to parse through all of the hundreds of options to conclude that Bitcoin was synthetic gold. And that was enough to solve my problem in the near term, which, how do you got a mortality situation. You actually have to find synthetic gold. I find it. And that was Bitcoin. Now, what happened next was the exploding appreciation that there is a profound demand for two things in this world. One thing is digital property, and I classify Bitcoin as digital property, not just gold, right? Gold is the start, but if you go beyond gold and say a non-sovereign store of value, you might as well convert a second investment home. You're going to Airbnb, and you might as well convert land and buildings and any other store of value asset. Yeah. So that's the first observation. And the second observation is there's a profound demand for digital currency. And that's your business. Those 8 billion people, if you look out more than 4 years, if you've got money you want to store for 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, 40 years, a lifetime, they want property. And buying a building in Africa, buying a bar of gold, buying a security, it's either not practical, it's not safe. And so what you have is a real huge demand for digital currency and digital property. And once you understand that, then you realize that this is the digital transformation of currency property. And so it's digital energy. And we never had in the first wave, in the mobile wave, we never had digital energy, digital property, digital currency. And it's such a profound paradigm shift that everybody in the world using this stuff can't imagine what it means to be digitally transformed. So you've got this little turbulent shockwave where some people immediately get it, right? Some people got it 10 years ago. And then there are people that will watch it and it'll evolve and they'll become like the next layer of adopters and then the late adopters and everybody gets it. Okay, so how's the world going to evolve? Well, the foundation is a very high integrity, highly secure stable layer one. The most stable one is Bitcoin. It's proof of work. It needs to be a commodity. It can't be a security. Can't have an issuer. It doesn't, 7 transactions a second is fine. It doesn't need to do any more than that. We just need for no one to break it, right? Mm-hmm. That's why I say we don't really want well-meaning engineers like meddling with the base layer. Just don't break it. Well, what makes Bitcoin ethical is the fact that it's open and permissionless without an issuer. So the layer 2 would be Lightning, which is an open permissionless transaction protocol, not moving or storing $500 billion of value, but storing $50,000 of value. In theory, the monetary layer is a winner take all. We're going to collapse to that. That's Bitcoin. Could you have a competitor to Lightning? Yeah, in theory, right? You can create a competitor to Lightning. The thing that makes Lightning ethical is that it runs on the Bitcoin token, right? If you run a crypto asset with a different token, it's probably a security, which makes it not ethical. So I think that you can create other open source protocols. Linux is an open source protocol, right? Lots of them. And then moving to the last issue, I don't think the world wants currency. So understand that money is composed of property and currency in the current environment. And the reason that currencies will continue to exist, like the US dollar and the euro and the yen, is because nation states will continue to exist. So until the European Union crashes and the Japanese government crashes and the US government is gone, there will be a currency that's mandated as a medium of exchange by that nation state. Apple creates a mobile wallet, builds in a secure element that's like a hardware wallet, as an authentication device, implements multi-factor authentication, gives you the ability to hold digital euros, digital yen, and allows you to hold digital property like Bitcoin.
Sure.
And everybody on earth wants it. And as long as we have culture and nation states, you're going to have all those things. And the trend over the next 30 years is that the strongest digital property, a la Bitcoin, is going to eat into $500 trillion worth of property. Gold, precious metals, real estate, bonds, equity indexes, collectibles, however you store your money for the rest of your life. And then the strongest digital currency is going to eat into the economic value of the other currencies. There's probably $200 trillion stored in currencies, currency derivatives, and the like. And then the business opportunity is companies that can deliver a digital currency in a compliant fashion, like your firm, like Circle. And then companies that can help deliver and manage digital property in a compliant fashion. And then there'll be, all sorts of variations on that, country by country, in every different industry. And I think those two trends are the trends of our lifetime. And they're right. If you're holding $500 billion worth of sovereign debt, reasonably speaking, you're losing 10 to 15% of your value a year. So it's a $75 billion a year cost to use a currency instrument or a currency derivative as your treasury asset. You're talking about $100 billion a year over 10 years or $1 trillion just to flip your treasury asset. But I think that we're still early, such that, the immaturity of the crypto industry in general with regard to regulatory clarity and the like, I think the governments are normally conservative, but the ones that are most likely to go are the ones that have the biggest upside, the biggest benefit, right? And they're not in fear, right? And there is a political element, which is, like the Gaddafi element. If you look like you're organizing a different currency, maybe your regime will disappear. I think what the world wants is the world wants a public, transparent, trustworthy entity to issue digital dollars that run on Lightning rails to 8 billion smartphones at the speed of light for free.
Totally.
And then they want lots of different ways to get at that. And the real digital transformation is 8 billion people manipulating digital property and digital currency on their smartphone as a store of value, a medium of exchange, a unit of account.
Yeah.
think globally, right? The US dollar is going to become the unit of account in South America.
Yeah.
Right. Before Bitcoin becomes the unit of account everywhere, the US dollar is going to be the unit of account. And that's going to be this dominant. You'll know that we've reached the next stage when Amazon clears billions of dollars via a digital currency for global remittance.
Absolutely.
And when a government, when legitimate nation states, when they buy $1 billion of Bitcoin to store, when they're moving $1 billion of Circle and moving $1 billion of Bitcoin, right? Then you're good. And the question you got to ask yourself is, well, what does it take for that to happen? And the answer is obvious. They have to trust it. Mm-hmm. And the trust comes with, regulatory clarity, understanding integrity, security. Yeah. It's like, who do you trust? And if you haven't been a public company officer, you don't really understand, like, well, what this is just all a headache. Why do I have to go through the trouble? The failure is not just not disclosing it. Oh, I made it, but I didn't tell you I made it. The failure sometimes is fourth order. There's a person responsible for checking to see whether that was disclosed properly, and that person lapsed in their IT account, so we fired them. So the degree of care, due care, right? And adult supervision and responsibility is, there's a backup to a backup to a backup looking at this.
Totally different level.
And that's what the world wants before they move billions of dollars around on crypto rails.